Last week, I was showing a home to clients. It was beautiful, staged perfectly. My clients were already deciding who got which bedroom. But a few minutes into the showing, I noticed something that seemed small, a patch of fresh paint in just one section of the ceiling in the bedroom. Not the whole room, just one square. So we looked closer, and that tiny patch led to a conversation about previous water damage and a possible roof issue. And that's the thing. The dream home that you're touring could be hiding expensive problems. And most buyers miss the warning signs because they're focused on the finishes. Today, I'm going to walk you through 9 red flags that could signal hidden issues so that you don't accidentally buy a money pit. Buying a home is emotional, but the difference between a great purchase and a costly mistake often comes down to noticing the small things. These signs don't automatically mean run, but they absolutely mean look closer and ask questions. And if a home has a big repair coming, you want to know that before you finalize your offer, not after you move in. My name is Villia Truelove. I'm a local Durham Region real estate agent, and part of my job is protecting buyers from expensive surprises. If you'd like help buying or selling a home here, you can book directly onto my calendar or call or text me. All of my contact information is right down below. So the first thing to look out for is cracks. Not all cracks are equal. Hairline cracks from settling, totally normal. But pay attention to cracks that are wider than 1/8 of an inch, horizontal cracks, stair step cracks in brick, cracks around door frames. Those can signal foundation movement. And foundation repairs are rarely small numbers. Cracks in the basement foundation can also become entry points for water. Again, some settling is completely normal. We're looking for unusual patterns or severity. So next, keep an eye out for uneven or sloping floors. When I tour homes, I walk slowly through the space and I pay attention to how the floor feels. Does it dip? Does it slope toward one corner? Do doors swing open on their own? Uneven floors can indicate foundation issues, structural beam problems, long-term water damage. It's subtle, but it's important. Just like with cracks, some settling can be completely normal, especially if you're looking at a 100-year-old home in O'Neill in Oshawa, for example. Things won't be 100% perfect. We're watching for normal character versus something's just not right. Next, fresh paint. So fresh paint everywhere, totally normal before listing. Fresh paint in one isolated patch on the ceiling, that's a question. Sometimes sellers are covering things like water stains, smoke damage, previous cracks. It doesn't automatically mean that they're hiding something intentionally, but it absolutely means that you should ask and you should be investigating further. So number 4, smells. Trust your nose. If a basement smells musty, there's usually a reason. So it could be poor ventilation, past flooding, ongoing moisture problems, and long-term moisture can lead to mold growth and structural deterioration. Candles and air fresheners might be used to mask smells, but it usually just ends up smelling like mold mixed with vanilla air freshener. If you're in a century home, again, remember that those basements weren't designed as living spaces originally. So a basement smell is more common. Unless waterproofing or a sump pump was added, seasonal water intrusion is common, but that's something that you definitely want to know upfront. So next up, the roof. You don't need to go climbing on a ladder. Just step back and really look at it. Are the shingles curling? Are there shingles missing, discolored? Does anything look uneven or sagging? A roof replacement can easily cost thousands of dollars, and that's even on a smaller home. If it looks like it's nearing the end of its life, that needs to be factored into your offer. But here's the bigger concern. If the shingles should have been replaced, say, a year or 2 ago, and they weren't, what's been happening underneath them? Has moisture been getting in? Is there damage in the attic, mold, possible rot, insulation issues? Sometimes the roof isn't just a roof problem. It can then turn into a structure problem. And that's where you'll want a closer inspection before moving forward. Next on the list, the electrical. So in newer homes, we kind of take it for granted. We have updated wiring, plenty of outlets, safety standards that were top of mind when it was built. But in older homes, especially anything built before the 1980s, there are some things that you're going to be wanting to pay attention to. So start with a panel, open it up and look for an overcrowded panel, rust, burn marks, or a system that just looks very outdated. If you see fuses instead of breakers, that usually means it's an older electrical system. It's not automatically unsafe, but most buyers choose to upgrade to a breaker panel for convenience, safety, and also for insurance reasons. Certain older panel brands are known to create safety and insurance concerns. If you're unsure, your home inspector should absolutely flag any concerns, but it's also good to have your radar up during the showing. If the home was built in the 1970s, there's a decent chance that it's going to have aluminum wiring. You might see that in the panel, but sometimes it doesn't come up until the inspection. It's also something that we can ask the seller about upfront. Aluminum wiring on its own isn't automatically a deal breaker. The issue happens when aluminum and copper wiring are connected improperly, and that's when it becomes a potential fire hazard. So insurance companies often require an electrical safety certificate. If you're looking at a home from the early 1900s or older, you might run into knob and tube wiring. That's something insurers typically require to be replaced. You'll often see it in unfinished parts of the basement. It's pretty easy to spot once you know what it is that you're looking for. So next is water. Water is one of the most destructive forces in a home. And the tricky part, it doesn't always look dramatic at first. So what you want to watch for: stains on the ceiling, bubbling or peeling paint, warped baseboards, soft or spongy drywall. These can seem small, but they're often clues. So water problems are rarely just cosmetic. Sometimes it's a simple plumbing fix. Other times it's a roof leak, a foundation crack, or a slow issue that's been happening for years. The longer that water sits, the more damage it can do to insulation, framing, flooring, even air quality. The key isn't to panic, it's to understand what you're actually looking at so that you have a realistic idea of the scope and the cost before you start moving forward. Next, step outside. Walk around the house and look at how the water moves. Does the ground slope towards the house instead of away from it? Are downspouts dumping water right at the foundation? Is there pooling near the base of the home after rain? Improper drainage is honestly one of the most common issues that I see, and this is in both older and in newer homes. But over time, it can lead to basement leaks and even foundation damage. So the good news is it's often fixable. Sometimes it's as simple as extending downspouts. Other times it's regrading, which can be a DIY project if you're willing to put in some dirt, time, and sweat. But it's definitely not something to ignore, because controlling where water goes around your home is honestly one of the easiest ways to prevent much bigger, more expensive problems down the road. And lastly, sloppy DIYs. Not everyone is a contractor, even if they think they are. So look closely at crooked tile, uneven backsplash lines, loose railings, messy or cracked caulking. On their own, these might just be annoying. And you definitely don't want to pay top dollar for a renovated house that needs to be redone. But here's the bigger issue. If the visible work is sloppy, what does the hidden work look like? Because bad DIY behind the walls can mean plumbing shortcuts, electrical shortcuts, even structural shortcuts. Those aren't cosmetic problems. Those are very expensive problems. Renovations should add value, not create question marks. So when something looks rushed or poorly done, again, slow down and ask more questions. Now, here's the balanced perspective. Seeing one of these does not automatically mean do not buy. It does mean ask questions, investigate further, bring in professionals, negotiate accordingly. The goal isn't necessarily fear, it's informed decision making. The best buyers are always informed buyers. The truth is, no home is perfect. Even brand new builds can and often do have issues. But when you know what to look for, you make decisions from a place of confidence instead of emotion. And that changes everything. And remember that small patch of paint at the beginning? That's how these things usually show up. Small, subtle, easy to miss. Have you ever spotted a red flag during a home tour? Or maybe you ignored one and learned the hard way. Share your experience in the comments. Your story could help another buyer. If you're heading into a showing soon, save this video so that you know exactly what to look for. And if you're buying in the Durham region and you want someone looking out for the things that you might miss, I'd love to help. Reach out anytime by booking onto my calendar or send me a text or an email. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.